What's going on, YouTube? It's me, Jeffrey, again, and today we're doing another creepypasta. And today we're doing a Toy Story creepypasta called Toy Story, The Black Friday Incident. So, here we go. The early stages of production on the famous computer-animated film Toy Story were a complete nightmare. The production was in some sort of development hell until the infamous Black Friday incident. Disney harassed the then-new animation studio Pixar constantly. They were to produce and release the film, and they wanted test results as quickly as possible. Disney tried everything to eliminate Pixar's efforts to deviate from the Disney formula, even at times threatening to shut the production down. Disney sent notes on revisions that they thought would improve the film. They insisted through their notes, which all read, "Edge. The film needs more edge." The people working on the film at the time struggled so hard to maintain all Disney's notes and demands. Once a week, they were required to fly across the country to the Disney offices to present them with progress. Every time they were met with the same response. Edge. The film needs more edge. Pixar revived the film so hard to meet the deadlines that resulted in some rather interesting changes. In order to achieve edge, the film became quite a lot darker. Woody became a wildly unlikable character, much more angry and far less comedic than in the final film. Bo Peep's role in the story was far more prevalent, often flirtatious towards the male characters, and is the first to accuse Woody of pushing Buzz out the window. Buzz Lightyear was referred to at this point in production as Lunar Larry. He's highly reminiscent of an older superhero, talking in a deeper voice, and is more deluded and ignorant of his surroundings. The other toys were relatively unchanged, save for minor aesthetic differences. Pixar employees worked literally 24/7 non-stop. Director John Lasseter joked on more than one occasion that he had the best parking space at the office because his car hasn't moved for over 3 days. Some of the writers and storyboard artists began to suffer from chronic insomnia. A few writers reported seeing visions of Buzz and Woody taunting them on the lack of progress, chanting, "Edge, the film needs more edge." Many of the initial writers quit due to the stress it was putting on their personal lives, much to the distress of the remaining crew. By November 1992, there were 2 of the 5 writers left, and only 1 of the 3 storyboard artists. The remaining storyboard artist was named Ralph Thompson. He joined the Pixar team in the winter of 1987, working on short films such as Tin Toy and Knick Knack. He was at that time did some storyboard work for The Nightmare Before Christmas with fellow artist Joe Ranth. Joe came down with a serious illness and hadn't been to work in a week. Ralph worked constantly and feared the inevitable correction by Disney. More edge, more edge. Each presentation meant another row of sleepless nights of rewriting and redrawing the same characters in the same bedroom over and over and over. It was maddening. One morning, John Lasseter, Andrew Stanton, and other higher-ups at Pixar came into the office and told everyone what happened at the last meeting. Disney felt that things were not looking very good for the film and demanded that in less a week, they were to see the complete film in story reels, storyboards with audio, with massive revisions. There was a general groan and whining from the crew, and they went back to working. Ralph worked harder than all the others involved. Sometimes at 2 in the morning, one of the writers would walk into Ralph's office with a pack of newly written scenes, more to draw, and with more drawings meant more scratch voice work. When a film is still in the writing and storyboarding stages, artists would do temporary voices for the story reels. He had Disney's vague instructions racing through his mind. More edge. More edge. Edgier. More. We want results, people. Edgier. This is a business. Faster. More edge. Move on already. He thought to himself this exactly. The film needed an edge. It needed to be darker, more cynical. It needed more adult humor and situations. It needed an attitude. Of course, Ralph. How couldn't you have seen it sooner? Edge. All those hundreds of hours bent over a desk and all you needed was edge. Why didn't you listen sooner? He gave the film an edge. The story reels were flown over with the main crew to the head offices at Disney. The date was November 27, 1993, Black Friday. When the film was brought to the screening room, the reel was about 48 and a half minutes long. The movie started out as a Western-style shootout between Woody and Andy, resulting in Andy being shot down. It's revealed that this was just a game played inside Andy's mind. The film continued on with little problems for about the first 20 minutes or so, through several gags seemed off with the overall tone of the film. For example, Mr. Potato Head would pull one of his eyes out and kick him under Bo Peep's dress for a look-see. There were several scenes of Woody yelling at the toys to stop caring about Buzz, or Larry in this case, and to pay attention to him, accumulating in results of minor acts of violence. The scene comes when Andy can only take one toy to Pizza Planet and Woody pushes Buzz out of the window. Woody offers to shake hands with Buzz, or Larry, only to throw him out of the window. There's a stock smashing noise. The other toys were shocked and antagonized Woody for what he has done. Woody shows little remorse and screams at Slinky Dog to make the toys stop harassing him. After much yelling, one of the Green Army men says the word "God damn." The toys grab Woody and toss him out the window as well. He falls onto the ground with a low thump. Cheering is heard from the interior of the house. The quality of the storyboards become less refined and almost like chicken scratch. Woody gets up and sees Buzz. Buzz's body was shattered on impact. His arms and legs were broken off and located only a few inches away. There was a large crack down the middle of the chest, revealing a mess of buttons and wires inside. He gave off a sort of electrical twitch motion in his head. His eyes looked like as they were to pop out of their sockets. The twitching stops after a few moments as Woody looks in fear at what he's done to Buzz and runs off. There is a jump cut to the scene where the two get stuck in the claw machine. The storyboard artist is back to its normal level of quality. The machine is filled with sunglasses wearing pizzas as opposed to the aliens in the finished movie. Buzz is completely unharmed and intact. The scene is almost verbatim to the final film. Sid, the antagonist, is in control of the claw. It was wearing a yellow t-shirt and smoking 3 cigarettes at once. The claw grabs Woody and Buzz, putting them in the clutches of Sid. There is another jump cut, once again returning to the chicken scratch style of artwork. The scene is inside Sid's room. Woody looks around the room in fear. He tiptoes around the room and collapses after seeing one of Sid's mutant toys. The reel then jump cuts once again to unrelated test animations of the characters running. A few seconds of Buzz running in place, a few seconds of Woody running in place, and nearly a minute of the two running together. The footage appeared distorted and Spanish text was presented on the screen. It looked like clay models that got to life. No one friends life or see. There's now a shot of a completely naked Woody with anatomically correct features standing in front of a black background, and the trademark Pixar ball is rolling around in the distance. The animation was now in the traditional animation style of a 2D typical Disney film. Woody stares directly into the camera, while his flesh begins to rot away with the exception of his eyes, which remain intact. Woody begins to moan in a low voice, similar to a zombie. What remains of his lips curl into a smile, bits of flesh peeling off as this happens. He lifts up his decomposing arm manually and waves it into the camera. His fingers dig into his eyes. Dark blood oozes out of their sockets. Woody begins to scream and growl. "Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Don't you love it?" He digs so deep as to rip the entire half of his head off. Woody gives a sigh of relief and begins to eat the flesh off the skull before tossing it aside. He writes the word "edge" on the screen with his rotting fingertips. The 15 minutes that remained of the reel were pencil scribbles accompanied by the shrill screams of a young woman. The word "edge" was burned into the projection screen. The screening ended in complete silence. Chairman of Disney at the time, Jeffrey Katzenberg, walked out of the screening quietly telling his colleagues, "Notes." They were all following all the notes that we were giving him. Upon returning to the Pixar office, his rare Pete doctor found the body of Ralph Thompson in an enormous pile of paper in his office. Further analysis found out that the cause of death was a heart attack brought on by a lack of sleep and stress. The papers were all storyboards and animation cells of the final coherent scene of Woody, while the word "edge" scrawled on the back of each one. Following the Black Friday screening, Disney became far less involved with film, to which Disney was finally given the freedom to make the film their way. The film went on to be a huge success with critics at the box office. The Black Friday incident still remains very much a mystery. Note: there's a short bonus feature on the Toy Story Blu-ray about the incident, curiously not mentioning the more notable scenes. It can be also found on YouTube for anyone who's curious to see the whitewashed history. Disney produced a short documentary to avoid discussing the incident. If you contact them about it, you will be redirected to the Blu-ray's Amazon page if you'll ever get a response at all. Wow, that was something. Now, I find this to be a pretty good creepypasta. Cliches aside, there was a whole thing with Woody writing Edge in his own blood and the decomposing flesh of himself. Like, that's one of the blood cliches. But I didn't see much of the blood cliche in this creepypasta, as most other creepypastas have blood everywhere. And majority of this story showed what happened between Toy Story and how it was in development hell. Now, granted aside, there actually was a deleted storyboard scene of Woody throwing Buzz out the window, except it did not include the scene where Woody pulls the entire top half of his head off and writes Edge in blood. That was not in there, so you could actually see the deleted scene of Woody throwing Buzz out the window, which I'll grantedly put the link of the video in the description below. And the final thing is, when someone develops a movie, they have to put it in some development like storyboards. But eventually there's going to be that one thing that every movie has to have. Edge. The film needs more edge. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this creepypasta, and what would you do to make it better? This is Jeffrey Simberski, signing out.